Hello, Star Wars players! Welcome to another exciting Star Wars holotheatre. Our special guest tonight is Justin Desai. Say hi.
Hello.
All right. Tonight for you we have sort of discussion. We're gonna play our special little Star Wars game, Swing and a Miss. It's a hit. We have a few topics of discussion there, and then just sort of talk to Justin about a lot of different Star Wars things. Thanks for joining us tonight, and
No problem.
hope you enjoy the episode.
Yeah,
So, Dan, how are you tonight?
better now. I mean,
Yeah, you kind of rushed in here. We got a few minutes of a late start, and I won't be shy and
yeah.
say it was all your fault.
Hey, I'll take the blame. I got no problem with it. People want to know, I'll let them know why. But
Usually,
normally, normally I'm the one who's
yeah,
here in time. But
yeah. Usually it's my fault when we start late with technical stuff. So
It's
I
not
gotta.
easy being the face of Star Wars.
That's right.
yeah,
I like that. That's our new nickname.
yeah,
Um.
nah.
So yeah, we're gonna go right into it.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
so how you want to start it off?
We're
You want
gonna
to go
go.
off on the list, or you
We're gonna
want to
do.
start
We're
off
gonna do
with
hit.
the
Yeah.
top?
Do you have? Did you come up with any, or are we just gonna go with mine?
We're going with yours.
Okay.
Apparently, you have enough to talk about a lot of.
I have the
stuff tonight.
clipboard today, boys.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you
Clipboard,
actually brought a
clipboard.
clipboard? Oh god.
Yes, I did. So, all right. So the first, these ones are actually a little bit more deep than our kind of surface level ones we had the last few times. So,
Oh boy.
uh,
Philosophy.
it's a hit or swing and a miss. The OCS top eight will have 8 dark side decks. One of them has been played and it's been Rop's.
Yes.
There will be four more for a total of 5 out of 8. Is that a it's a hit or swing and a miss?
So you're
So
saying
you're
5 Rob stack?
5 out of 8.
Dan, go ahead.
So you're thinking 5 of the 8 players will play Rob stacks.
Correct. Because Gavin already played last night, and we did
Yeah.
that game last night, and there was
Yeah,
Greg Shaw
Greg and,
won.
Rob played
so
Rob.
that's
So
Yeah,
one.
Shaw played
Yeah,
Rop's.
So you're saying out of the
4
games,
out of the next 7.
because
Correct.
there's 8. So wait. The thing is though, there's 16 games total.
Well, yeah, I would
so
just
8.
right,
Yeah,
which will
Yeah,
have 8 light side
yeah.
decks and 8 dark side decks, right? Or did I screw up the math?
you screwed up the math.
Did I?
Yeah, because there's 8 players left in the top 16. Both players have to play both
There's
sides.
16 games.
16
Yeah.
games,
Yeah,
2 decks,
Yeah.
1 light side, 1 dark side.
This is embarrassing if we mess this up.
Okay.
no. So,
All right. Well, let's just put it as a
so
percentage
let me
then.
put it this way.
Go ahead.
Greg has to play light side and dark side, correct? Gavin has to play light side and dark side. Greg
Gavin already
dark
played
side.
light side.
Queso's right. Queso's right. It's 8. Yeah, it's not 16.
Because so there's 16. There's 8 players, 16 games because 8 times 2 is
Think about
16.
it this way: like if you're in it, you're playing your dark. You're picking a dark deck,
Yes.
and
Okay. So
that dark deck could be
I'm-
Rob's. And there's 7 more people who are doing that.
all right. I'm a pothead, so my math is not good. So I know
I'm a math
Justin
teacher, so
teaches
I
AP
guess
calculus to freshmen.
Yeah, I was
according
gonna
to
say, you know what? If anybody's gonna like school me on math here, it's just
Yeah, there's
Um,
8, and one's been
yeah.
done, so the other 7 people have to choose.
Okay,
Okay,
so
yeah, you're right.
of those 7, 4 more will be Rops. It's a hit, swing and a
All right,
miss.
can we change
It's
it?
a hit.
Can we
It's a
change it
hit.
to 6?
I mean-
Because Joe's not playing Rob's, they banned it.
Yeah, Joe's gonna
Oh,
play
they-
Rops.
I didn't know
Bastion's
that.
Gonna, Bastion's
know
gonna
that,
play
okay.
Rops.
I would say it even could still be 6. It could still be 5 of the 6.
That's sort of
Because,
where
like,
I was going with that,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Like Greg's gonna do it, Bastion's gonna do it.
Greg already did it, right?
Yeah, Greg played
Yeah,
Rops
and
last
then
night.
yeah, Vino's gonna do it. Who are the other people?
Joe
It's Chris
Olsen.
Wirfs,
Wirfs.
Chris Kelly,
Wirfs.
Charlie,
Well, Wirfs-
Bastion.
Wirfs might play Rops because he plays his little.
He plays
mains
mains
Yeah,
Rops
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure, but I mean that counts. You're still
Yeah.
abusing the hell out of that
Chris
purple card.
Chris
Kelly played
will probably
Rops.
play Robs.
Kelly
The
played.
thing that's
Yeah,
weird is like if one player plays Robs first and wins by like 20, it makes
Yeah.
it weird because like to win the second game by 21 with Robs is hard. So like if the first game Robs win is like too big, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like that's what happened to Steve. Steve was going to play Robs, but he lost the first game by 20, and then he was like, "Well, it's going to be hard to beat." Like he probably figured Diplo or Throne Room,
Right.
and he was like, "Yeah, let's just play something kind of different and hope it works out." And it was kind of misbuilt from the beginning, but like it's Like if someone wins by like 25 with Rops, what do? Do you play Rop?
Yeah, nah, I mean that's crazy to win with
That's a
that
good point.
much.
That's a really good point. And honestly, like Silverglen, I don't see him playing Rops.
He likes to play map
Um,
more, I feel like.
yeah,
Well, him and Joe
he's
might ban it anyway.
yeah. Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah, I
right.
didn't know about that when I came up with the
Yeah.
They have
question.
some,
So
yeah, I think they're doing something like that. I
some
mean,
So
shenanigans.
I would say it's a hit if there's nothing weird.
Okay.
Like I would even say 5 of 6. If there's no weird differential stuff, I think it's a hit. Yeah.
All right. Dan, did you give us an official? I don't know what that ping was. Was that you? Was that
yeah,
me?
I
So
don't know what that
that was
thing was.
my. I need to let
Okay.
me quit.
No, it's okay. It's not a big deal. I just surprised me.
No, it's very timing. Uh,
Messages that
So
should.
the way, honestly, like I just don't see everybody playing Rops. I mean, Bill's
that's what
or
we've
Paul's
seen a
not
lot
gonna
of
play
so
Rops.
far.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Rops, but I mean, I think there's just too many wild cards. But I mean, Rops is the best deck for both sides. So
Agreed.
no, I'm gonna say swing and a miss.
Okay. I think I will go with Justin here and also say it's a hit. That was sort of where I was leaning into. I think we've seen a lot of ROP so far already in the OCS. We saw it last night. And even Gavin was like super teched out. Like he had 2 clashes, two
Yeah,
barriers, the extra graver, like all sorts of crazy stuff. And it's still like Shaw just plowed right through. I mean, it
It,
took him a
well,
while and he
I
had
would,
his timer was a
yeah,
little bit of an issue, but he still ended up winning by like 17 or 18, something like that. I can't remember. It was still pretty solid.
I like the thing that's weird about Rops is like everyone kind of like the way that you play against it is like kind of evolved.
Okay.
So like
mhm,
initially people would flip it back by going to the system because it was sort of that would naturally happen sometimes where you could like they
Especially
Rops
like
would
a
flip if
Tantive
you
could
go
go
to
there.
Foresight and they'd leave Luke by himself or they'd fight Luke, whatever, doesn't matter. But then like a site would be clear, there'd be an empty site, an empty system, and it would be like, cool, I'll flip you back. And then it like after playing a while, you kind of recognize that that was actually like not exactly what you didn't want to do because it gives Rops another flip and it gives you 2 targets to like draw like and you end up adding 5 in both of those battles if you can stick around in one. And then you end up ending that following turn completely set up, light side has nothing, and you're just like you're locked.
Yeah, you're set up
Um,
completely. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's
so then the evolution of that, which I had at Worlds and some other people had too, was like you just stack 2 sites with every guy. Like you don't care. You take 2 sites and you just go guy here, guy here, guy here, guy here, and you just pay to drain. I ended up cutting the Tana in all space for my throne room,
yeah,
and I
that's what we
added
saw
Brother
from
Fire
Gavin. He
and
didn't
like
have any space, and that he'd
DD8,
go.
right? And you just like pay to drain, and it worked really well. Like I beat Tom Kelly pretty easily, and he's really good at Rops.
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
Um,
he's top 1 or 2 players with it for sure.
yeah, and he didn't know like he was like, oh, I had no clue how to beat that plan. And things it was kind of a weird game, but like Luke at one side, Ahsoka at the other side, and then Anakin, then Padme. You just keep stacking like literally every character,
hmm
and
yeah,
it's
and
probably going to win. But now Dark is able to, and especially on Gem, because like the code clearance lists are easy or can do this easier, where they know that's coming, and now with Expand the Empire too helps. They
Yeah,
just go they unleash Hell's Fury at your crappier site or even your better site. It doesn't even matter.
mhm,
Like if they sniff out a run Luke run, they'll just go after Luke. Doesn't really matter. You can't get like 30 power right away on the ground. I mean, you can try, but like Rops can, and they get like Tarkin and Death Troopers, and they're drawing 3. And like it's like Hujix isn't even really relevant. They just completely wipe you off one,
yeah, they just want to
and
clear you.
then it's like, what do you do? It's you're the same spot, and now it's like almost like the Tanit might be good again, like kind of cycling back on that plan. Like maybe you want to play one and like kind of flip back, but it doesn't even matter because then you'd have to be like if they still pull shuttles. There's just so many things. So like the latest version of what Rops does and like against its bad matchups, which is like Diplo and Throne Room, not its bad matchups, but like
It's harder
its
matchups.
matchups that it can lose. Its latest evolution hasn't been solved at all. So I think that's why like I went into Worlds being like, all right, cool. If I play Rops, I'm going to beat it because I know exactly what to do,
Hmm.
and I felt really confident with Throne Room against that.
yeah,
And now it's like, yeah, if someone was like competent player playing me with Rops that had the new technology of like expand and code clearance and like all the guys and like the sacrifices and stuff like that, you're just never getting anywhere.
Yeah,
Like even with, like double
yeah,
Cyber Mess, double Run Luke Run. I mean, you can get ahead like if you double Twix and stuff. But I was playing it online just for fun the other night, and it was like double twixt, did what I wanted to do. Had like Luke at one site, Ahsoka at another site, random like 4 ability guy with both of them, like Padme with Luke and like Rey with Ahsoka, and
Yeah.
Ahsoka and Rey just got like beat down. Not like beat down for a
Mm.
kick, but like they died, and then everyone just flayed out, and it was like Luke was by himself. I was like, I guess I'll pay to drain for 2 and like
Yeah.
play an Obi-Wan. Like this doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we kind of saw last night with the Gavin Greg matchup. Gavin just kept drawing, like he saw what Ray coming down a few turns, Obi-Wan came down, and Greg was just able to keep everybody. If he had still at least one guy at a site, and Gavin just couldn't really do much.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that Erica was still sitting there most of the game, canceling the drain from Luke.
Yeah.
So
That Erica
I mean-
did some good work in that game for sure.
Yeah, Erica was good.
Yeah.
That was like the other plan I had. That's the plan I had
Greg
for
had
Rob.
double Erica in that Rob stack.
Yeah, I
yeah,
played 2 and I played an Asane. Well, everyone plays Asane. I almost played 2 Asane, so like the alternate plan was like against mains, you could not flip, go to their JCC, stack one of your sites.
Yeah, that was the play Dan was looking for all game.
Yeah,
Was the
yeah.
Ice Heart to the JCC? Yeah.
And then like you can like lose your Erica to get your Erica, to lose your Erica to get your Erica, and like get that loop. It ended up most of the time at Worlds like I never played against Throne Room, but like against Legend it was cool to like lock down and drain. They don't have like really much for that.
yeah.
Erica's really good.
All right, so we'll go with our next one here. From the other side of the bracket, we got Bastion will advance to the OCS final. It's a hit or swing and a miss. So he'd have
It's a
to
hit.
beat Charlie,
It's a hit.
and
It's a
then the
hit.
winner of Chris Kelly and Chris Werfs. It's a hit.
Yeah.
See, I think in my prediction I had him losing in the first round. So I
cool.
should probably correct that and
Well,
also say it's a hit.
I want to say no. You had him losing to Eric Hunter.
Eric,
same
yeah,
as
that's what it
me.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was the
that's-
same one, and then Eric lost to Charlie in the
That's
first
what
round.
it was. Yeah, it was all
I mean,
Eric's
as,
fault.
as Justin's saying right now, if Bastion is playing Worlds, who's going to beat him? Or if Bastion's playing Rops, sorry.
Oh, right.
Who's going to beat him? I mean,
Yeah, he's playing well. I mean, I think he's playing well.
Yeah.
There's no reason to pick against him. I mean, he could lose. Like, Jeb is different,
A little bit for sure.
you know, and, like, things can happen, especially, like, someone could go really weird tech, I guess.
Right, and that's sort of where my next one is we saw in one game in the OCS the first round there was a light side combat deck that showed up in the OCS playoffs. While unsuccessful, this will lead to more out of the decks in the rest of the OCS. Is that it's a hit or swing and a miss?
Swing and a miss.
Swing and a miss.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of different, crazier decks just because of who's left. Charlie's good. I can see. I put probably Charlie on a QMC. He's played it a lot. Chris Kelly's
He likes Diplo too, I feel
good.
like.
Yeah. Charlie likes Diplo. Chris Kelly's still there. Worf's is still there. Olsen's still there. Silvergun's still there. I mean, I don't see a lot of weirdness. The weirdest thing that I probably saw was probably last night with Gavin, with as many cards as he was playing. I mean, he played Hitco, and from what I remember, yeah, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I
didn't
don't
watch
think.
Greg
I
told me to
was gonna say though, Hitco's not really good against Rops. I think Throne Room's a little bit better of an option.
Yeah, you'd think the hit code would be better because you can like set up and like pick your battles and kind of fight them and stuff, but it's not really great. And like honestly, there's just a lot of bad. Like it's so easy to flip as Rops against Hitco, and then Luke dies really fast. Like there is a little panic mode with Rops sometimes against like Throne Room if they get a good start, and if your hand is like your crappier characters and you don't have your good ones, and you have to like, oh, I'm gonna throw these guys out and like hope that my trooper garrison doesn't get perimeter skid or something like that.
Yeah.
And like, if you bounce off that first battle, you
Right.
can lose. But like Hitco, you really that first battle you're gonna be flipped. So that's the difference. The first battle against Throne Room, you probably won't be flipped as Rops. So
Right.
like, and one of the best cards against Rops probably is actually evac control, because like
Right.
if you like, I might even start it to be honest. Like if you can get the first battle, but then they have the expand tech. I don't know. Maybe you want to play like Galen Urso or something. Galen Urso and Calfel, Syndros, and evac control.
It's a lot of tech.
You can put the expand and use pile, and you got the combo. Bastion was playing the Galen Urso bugged for a while in the OCS.
Yeah.
Um,
Did he run Galen in his OA? I know he saw Cal.
he had it in the no idea thing that he played.
Okay.
But is it still bugged?
I don't know.
I
haven't played with
more
it.
open on there for people.
Right, because it's a good card, but like you don't want to use it because of it has that weird. I forget exactly what the bug is, but I know it's really
the
silly.
bug is that like it adds the ROPS bonus to light side.
That's right. That's what it was. Yeah,
it's really
it's just insane because it's supposed to
Yeah.
just switch numbers or whatever.
Switch the numbers, yeah. Not switch the total.
Not switch the total.
But yeah, I think like evac or like Yoda could be like if you get that really fast. Yoda probably not as good because they could just go to the other site, but like they do kind of rely on those early destinies.
Yeah.
And maybe like some cheap guys, like maybe like no one's playing trample anymore, so maybe you play like a couple commands and like or leaderships and like an Admiral Radis, and you just try to literally like flood everything. I don't know. I could see people doing like weird stuff, like taking out the cards, like Jedi concentration and stuff, like just completely eschewing those and
taking out the
like,
anti-mains cards and then
Yeah. The only problem with that is, I mean, if somebody's thinking that you're going to be attacking extremely well for ROPS, just like that, what's to stop them from going in the different direction?
you're like Hunt Down or something.
Yeah.
Well, it's a risk, but then they're like playing Hunt Down, and Hunt Down's not that good.
Hunt Down's kind of just bad right now. Yeah, I mean,
But maybe it's not that bad because like OA is kind of unplayable because of ROPS. Definitely online.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I don't know.
I would like to be able to play Dark Side mains, even if it's not Hunt Down, because if they can maybe make Stunning Move a little bit more of a mains deck as opposed to like a Destroyer
Right.
mains deck, which is all we've seen it so
Right.
far. Maybe make some cool Maul effects helpers or something like that. All right, so my next one. Oh, go ahead.
Uh-oh.
I was going to move on to the next. The next question is for the Outrider Cup. Team USA will win the Outrider Cup. It's a hit.
It's
Swing
a
and a
hit.
miss. It's a little biased opinions on
I'm going to
this.
say
But I had
the
to-
only problem that I'm seeing is Team USA doesn't have their sixth member.
Right. So I mean, Justin
that's
is already on there.
So we have it's Justin,
It's
Joe,
actually,
Greg,
Joe,
Mishki, and Chris Kelly.
Mishki.
Mishki, Chris Kelly, Greg. I don't know. I think it really depends on the sixth member. If it's somebody like Baroni, I would say Baroni, Tom Kelly, anybody like that of the higher class players. Yeah,
It's gonna be someone good. It'll be probably Baroni or Hayes. That would be like I would guess those two.
Yeah.
yeah.
Those are
Like
good choices.
Reed's not gonna get picked because people don't like him and stuff.
I wouldn't pick Reed just because he has the worst luck on Gemp. Like
Yeah,
he always
I know.
gets
People,
Gemp.
he's like polarizing, and people just won't pick him. So then, like in terms of like quality of player, I think like Steve's probably the highest, and he has the best range. But like Joe teams with Hayes, so he might have some like solidarity there, and Hayes is pretty good. After that, the thing with Tom Kelly is like he's good, but like he only can play like certain decks,
Yeah, he's very focused on like
and like
entanglements,
I mean-
ROPS, OA,
Right.
watch your step. It's
And
pretty much
there's
all he
nothing
plays.
wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it just comes down to if you know what you want to play, just play that and just test it against what you play. I mean, that's what I do with Magic. I'm a control player. I just take all my control decks, play them against what I want to, and I go in knowing, okay, I know I can beat this deck by doing this, this, and this.
right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But-
He wouldn't be my. He's good, but he wouldn't be my pick. I mean, obviously, I'm biased. I'd pick Steve.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve's range is so good, and I think what a lot of people don't realize is Steve's built a lot of like the iconic KTOD decks over the years. Like we were playing with Chu, like he had a big voice in that Prophet initially, like the
Yeah.
communing that he was really good at, and like
Yeah,
he's
he's
got a
definitely a
large
good deck
board.
builder. For
yeah,
sure.
he's like one of the, probably like the best ever. So like
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I was
like
gonna say-
meta decks he's like created, you know what I mean? So like I've had a few hits, and Chu's had some really good ones, and Mike's had some good ones, but Steve's probably had a few more, maybe. I don't know. He's certainly up there.
Mm,
So I
for
think
sure.
like I mean, even look at the Worlds this year. Like the top 8 was super bland, and then he played like TTO with 4 ships, and just
Yeah.
had like had
Yeah.
some confidence. And like I played like 3 games against it. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. If we play him, I'm losing. Like, there's no way I can beat that deck.
Yeah. Oh, I was
Um,
going to say, wasn't it you who said that basically Steve's going to be the best player in Star Wars if he has the time?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
And
Johnny said that for a while too. Like,
yeah,
I mean, he hasn't had like. It's funny because like he's this. I think this was the first year he top eighted Worlds, and he didn't win the first round.
mm-hmm.
Like his record in the first round is like really, really good. I think it's his fifth top eight. Like he's won the NPC twice.
Right.
Like the year that I won for the first time, he like got really psyched up to beat MHT, and then like it was like surgery, and then like just scooped me, like didn't care. So I think like he's got,
Yeah.
but like the gem thing plays a role, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And Joe's picking, and like he just lost to Joe, so I don't know if that plays a role. Although I think he played pretty tight. He got relatively.
So
I'm lucky he's not the word. The matchup is so bad in the first round, and then the next game is really weird.
So Joe's the captain, or who's the
yeah,
captain?
Joe's like officially the captain.
Okay.
You know what? I still like the idea of bringing in maybe a Scott or even Goglin.
Yeah, like a figurehead.
Just a figurehead, kind of like what the Ryder Cup does, and then maybe having whoever the figurehead is play the figurehead of Europe in a.
Yeah, like Menzel versus Scott. That's not a bad call.
Yeah.
That'd
I would
be
love
a
to see
weird game.
I would love to see Menzel versus Scott. I know that they're both really busy right now, and
We have
just
to ask Gurgle like some rules questions, like what happens if it can wait an emperor out of bringing
Just as
before
soon
me?
kiss a
Like, what?
Wookiee.
How does that work? How does it's as soon kiss a Wookiee interact with bringing before me emperor pull?
And then out of commission does something in the middle of there
Right.
somewhere. Good one.
yeah, the Gem team would not like us if we had set up a Steve or a
They'd be
Menzel
like, where are all
versus Scott.
That would be like, where are all the cards? You said they were all coded. You promised me.
All right, so that was pretty much all I had. Wait, let's see, we had one more written down here.
Did you?
So yeah, this one's kind of buzzworthy, I'd say. With the recent discussion regarding like I know there's been a big reset discussion, topic. But then Chris Kelly kind of came in and said, there's going to be plans to sort of fix the meta with some shakeups, and the four decks he specifically mentioned were, or I guess cards/decks were Like My Father Before Me, OA, and then Map and Rops. So if those four decks are fixed correctly, the meta will be, shaken up and a lot better after that. Swing and a miss, it's a hit.
It's a hit, but maybe we feel like it's been grabbed.
Okay, all right. With
Yeah,
an
and I think
asterisk.
There's going to be like a really good try, but I
Okay.
think everything's too interwoven right now. So I think like there's going to be a really good effort to try. Like I don't know if you guys saw that I got reinserted to the team.
Right, yeah,
And
I have some questions
Yeah.
for you. We'll talk about that more
Right. I
specifically
like
in a
kicked
moment.
around, like I like kind of saw what they were doing, what the conversations were like, because I'm like now the new guy, although I was the old guy. And like a lot of their stuff is great. Like there's like a lot of good conversations, but it's weird because like all of a sudden, what does it look like if like you hurt Rops too much? Rops is like a margins deck anyway. So like what happens if Rops just can't win a game anymore? And then like Map is, let's say that Map has a bad matchup against whatever new deck comes out for light, whether it's Diplo or No Idea, or maybe one of like the Throne Rooms or always is still really good, and then like things lose balance. But I think that the reasoning behind it's really good. Like it is, like Mishki had a post that was like he's played the same Throne Room map game like 40 times, and like it's just
Yeah.
it's time to move that along. So I could see like Endor being like fun, but like people realizing like afterwards on Jemp that like there are flaws, and then like having like a second wave of changes or adjustments or a new set before the NPC. And then like if people are patient, I think like by the NPC,
Okay.
hopefully there's like, new decks. One thing I would think is like Rops really does like limit creativity a bunch.
I feel 100%, yeah.
Like, you really can't play
Um,
against
only-
Rops.
The only thing is, like, if we change up just those four decks right now, we'll see a lot of No Idea. And No Idea was
I think No Idea and Court
really,
would
really
be the
popular. Like, Court and No Idea would probably be the most popular decks
Yeah,
just
I think
because.
Court will. I think I saw the post on Slack about like Throne Room's not going to exist. I don't think Throne Room won't exist. And I think like if say Court was the Rops deck, like say court was Robs and everyone was playing court, it would be fixed. Like people would beat it.
Hmm.
Like you can beat court by adding like 6 cards to your deck, even if it's not a good matchup.
Yeah,
Like
you
even
can
like a
change your Leia back to Rebel Princess. You can,
right,
run a few
you
different
can do a
cards.
lot of things. You can come up with plans. You can play like quite a mercenaries for the neighbors. You can like
Yeah,
play
there's
multiple answers to hidden weapons, multiple, and at a certain point, like they do kind of. I mean, some decks might be bad, like the decks that start systems and stuff. But say you were like, all right, hit code needs to be court. Like you saw Gavin's deck that lost to Rops, right? Even with all the Rops tech, and he lost by 17. If you built a Hitco with that much court hate, it would probably win. I mean, I can't say
should win.
undoubtedly, but like I would imagine that it would, or maybe it's not Hitco, but something can figure out. So it's not like oppressive like that. It doesn't have like a board state change.
Right.
And some players are going to be bad and they're going to like not Saber Force and play a guy and they're going to lose on turn 2 and be like court's broken. But
maybe you're just a
been
bad
around
player.
for a while, and
Yeah.
like there were times where Throne Room's been good for a long time, but like I remember like Court having some issues with some other decks too. I wouldn't think about Court, and I think like decks like No Idea and Diplo that set up so fast probably will receive like a minor tweak.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like the biggest thing that I brought up about No Idea is, yeah, you're playing a bunch of guys. The thing about No Idea is your guys. It is like court. You're playing a bunch of guys. They're low deploy, but they still have that high forfeit value, whereas court doesn't. And I think that's the biggest issue with No Idea is
Court has the bonus, but yeah, I mean the guys are kind of awkward.
yeah. I mean, No Idea just runs all those so many little rebels right now that just can do so much that costs a lot, like cost so little, and they still have all the forfeit.
Yeah,
I think
it's mainly that new like trooper, that like trooper commando team or whatever it is.
As Justin just said, I think decks like that, especially, would take a little bit of a tweak. And you know what? As long as the meta is fun, I don't care. I mean, I'm not a competitive player. I know there are people that are competitive. And
like competitive or not, you still want it to be fun, right? Like
right, and I feel like it's just really stale with too many control decks and like I don't know, just a lot of matchups just aren't really like fun right now. And I know I'm not a competitive player like similar to Dan, but I like to play. But I haven't played much a lot lately just because I feel like Rops and Map are just not what I like to play.
Yeah, and I think like one of the things that I posted that like sharing here would be relevant is like someone about like, oh, everyone's like changing their mind. Like everyone said the meta was great, and now they're changing their mind. And like, I think like because of Gemp, that's like kind of normal.
It's just
like,
the meta
figuring
gets
out
stale faster.
Map versus Throne Room was fun in the beginning. It was cool, like figuring things out, and like if you have a team of players being like, oh yeah, do this, don't fight Kylo, do fight Kylo.
Yeah.
Everyone expects you not to fight Kylo. Now we should like toggling through those decisions. I actually think like changing things after Worlds is kind of healthy.
Okay.
Yes.
Like people kind of go into the tank before Worlds and they figure out how they want to play matchups. A lot of it's like, how you play it. It's not like even the deck. It's like what your approach is. Like especially like a deck like Map. Like, are you fighting Kylo? If you're throwing room, are you fighting Kylo, or are you like trying to do your own thing and take over space or whatever? So like figuring those out and having those conversations is interesting. And then like, then you're kind of over it.
Right.
Like it either worked or it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff kind of comes out a little more. You see what people do. You see the lists. You can kind of figure out people's plans. Like if you looked at my throne room, everyone's going to know what my plan versus Rops is.
Yeah.
And then like people play for a couple weeks. They're like, wow, this, and then then you're left with like, okay, Rops is clearly the best deck. Like not like before Worlds, people thought Map and Rops were the best decks. Now I think everyone thinks Rops is the best deck.
Yeah.
Like no one's like, yeah, Map's just as good as Rops. Whereas like I remember going in, and obviously it was a real life tournament, so like time's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But like if Worlds was tomorrow, more people would play Rops.
Totally.
And
Agreed.
play it fast.
Agreed.
Just play it fast, yeah.
Just play it fast.
I mean, it's
like,
even a time issue in the OCS, as we saw. Like last night, Greg won his game with 13 seconds left on his timer. So,
well,
like,
I mean, Greg did have a. He took his time. He definitely was looking like he was in the tank for a little while. So, and that's to be fair, because I mean there was a bunch of situations where I feel like he could have did multiple things. So
right.
Yeah,
but I think like things like changing like if you think of it like if Star Wars is like a 1 year cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and like so Worlds happens. Well, okay, stuff comes out before Worlds. People kind of play it, they kind of don't. There's things like Nationals or whatever, and stuff like kind of emerges. Legend and Rops were kind of the decks, even though the Rops was out for the NPC, but like it wasn't totally like fleshed out.
Yeah,
Like
people
Tom
hadn't
Kelly had
really
a
figured
good
it out
list,
yet.
but
Mm-hmm.
and I think Tom Kelly said like he had a good list because he had Desane, no one else had it. So people things get figured out, and Jemp
Yeah.
helped with that. And then Worlds happens, and then if you think about it, if you were to change stuff after every Worlds, introduce kind of like new cards, erratas, and then sort of like it's not a new meta, but there's always going to be like 6 or 7 decks at the top,
Right.
and if those can either change what they are or change like what cards they have in them. Like everyone says, like my father before me's have like enough shine now.
Right.
So like, all right, maybe Throne Room has like Mace Windu in it now. You know what I mean?
Right,
Maybe
like the
there's a
Jedi
list of,
business. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Jedi business, or maybe you make that a little better, or
Yeah.
maybe you make like.
A virtual JCC to go with it, or virtual something
But
to
I
go with
actually
it.
think the progression of like Black Sun is awesome because it was
Totally.
like
Yeah.
probably a little too powerful, but that
Mhm.
was okay because it rewarded like practice. It wasn't like it was just blunt like the old like 10 years ago like Rebel Fleet Virtual, which is like just blunt.
I was at that Western National tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like agents required like really like smart play. Like you could track like
Yeah, you
you
had
had
to
to like
still play that deck
two
really
different
well, even
things.
if it was you had a really strong like starting ability to
Right,
get
and
so
that's the
much.
stuff that like makes you excited to play. You like discover things after you play it for a week, and then you discover something. You're like, "Whoa!" I remember discovering that, like using a force that I could track 2 6s together if I played regular masterful move, because I could look at my force pile and then I could get to a 6, and then I could masterful move for the 6 and have it have 2 6s, and I was tracking the rest of the game. And like that was like a weekend, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool," and like, and I was just like playing Black Sun on all 6s, and obviously it was way too powerful. But then like it got errated right after Worlds.
Hmm.
It was like felt like
Yeah.
it kind of disappeared. They made like a helper that maybe the helper wasn't even that good, but then like people kind of came back to it. Like Joe played it at Nationals, and
Hmm.
Noel played it at
Mhm.
Worlds. There's some other Euros
Yeah.
that played it at Worlds, and it was like good. It wasn't like oppressive. It was clearly not as good. But
Yeah.
I think that's like what we want to see. Like that's where Rop should do now. Rop should go back to like being good, but not like, oh boy, Rop's again.
Totally. Totally.
And here's the question, though. I mean, at this point, what do you do to fix that thing with ROPS? Because I think it is a fine line of tweaking versus completely fixing and blowing everything up to fix a deck where it makes it where you can't play it anymore.
I mean, yeah, there's
Well,
got to be
that's
some
that's
ways you can tweak it to make it
I mean, that's
fair.
hard. That's a hard thing to do, and I think like design's gonna try their best. It's hard because you go too far, you go too little. I mean, look at the map erratas.
Right.
Like it's won probably more since it got errata. Like if you go back in time, that first NPC where like you could put Phasma on strategic reserves and stuff like that deck had to be absurd. I guess it
Right.
didn't have snow, but like
The supply version I think was honestly like
yeah,
the
and like
most.
Yeah,
right,
the
like
the one that Lenny, I
I
think it was
wasn't
like,
following then, but
yeah,
um, but like you don't want to go too far, but so you kind of try to figure out like what it needs to survive and what stuff might be too much. Like if you look at ROPS, what does it do? The swap text, a lot of people complain about that. That's something that's clearly powerful. The adding destiny part is very, very powerful. That being said, if it wasn't there, I don't like what would ROPS even be?
Right.
The minus drain thing is like a throwback to the original version of it. That text is like really good sometimes, but like against mains, it's like maybe it blanks a Fondor drain like once or something like that.
I liked the
So like
old
it's
version of
weird.
ROPS where you could like pay to upload a card in your
Yeah,
control
like, but
phase.
maybe that comes back. So I think it's like those
You
discussions.
take away the
But then the
swap and
problem
put
is,
that on or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I
The
mean,
problem is like you don't have enough data to like test the ideas,
True.
and Gemp has so much data of like exact, precise what is. So you're kind of shooting in the dark, um, and like you hope it works, and then maybe like they get feedback from the community and you say, well, maybe they say this won't work because of this, and I mean, I can go into D&D and be like, I'm the one who's right, but it's also like you have to listen to people.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I can't just go into D&D and be like, oh yeah, I'm right. I can't hear any of your ideas. I have my 2 world championships in both my ears. I can't hear you. Like that wouldn't make sense. Like Emil and I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like you have to take into other things into account. I think there's a lot of like really loud voices in Star Wars that think they're right. Like I have an idea of what I would do to Ross, but that's not like necessarily the best thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to take, okay, some people might like this, or some people it might be too damning, or it might be. I'd probably nuke it a little bit more than most, but some people might not want that. You know?
And I think you're right. It has to be given to just more than just D&D at this point, even the playtesters. So I think there has to be some sort of happy medium of when.
Yeah, it's funny. Eric's talking about playtesting. He's way too green to understand that process. Is just not as clean as it. What we playtest, it doesn't really work that way. Like, yeah, he's an old school guy, but he's just hasn't been around like the process to understand that the playtesting does a decent job, but like it's just not. It's not this like it's like literally playtesting wouldn't be like an hour worth of what it could be like from what you see on Jump right now.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, look at as you said, Agents of the Black Sun. Playtesters allowed the original Shadows to go through. People played it on GIMP, played it, and then it still was the majority played Darkside deck at Worlds 2 years ago.
Hold on, I'm gonna look at the comments. So everyone plays the 8 decks. What's that chime? Oh, that was my messenger.
So while Justin's kind of reading that, we're gonna kind of switch from our swing and a miss, it's a hit discussion, to just more kind of focusing in on our special guest, more questions related to him and his past Star Wars career and stuff. Before we get to that, I have a sort of fun announcement for the Endor Grand Prix. I'll be doing commentary, and I have a special announcement. Reed Smith will be my co-commentator for that event.
No way.
So get your popcorn ready. I think that should be pretty fun.
Yeah.
And I thought everybody would be pretty excited to hear that news. So
I thought about going, and I don't really play more than once a year. Well, I'm not going to go, but it did cross my mind. Like I looked and I was like, oh, I wonder who'd be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe if any changes are like awesome, maybe I'll bite the bullet and go. I'll stay with
it'd be
Joe.
awesome to see you out there.
I was going to say, Justin, I would love to see you out there, but I
can stay in one of Joe's properties.
There you go.
Joe has multiple properties. Interesting.
Joe's got lots of stuff. He's a crazy person. Okay, so with that in mind, Justin, this year, what have your thoughts been so far on the OCS games and sort of the contenders and who do you think's going to win, that kind of stuff?
I mean, Bastion's obviously the favorite.
Right.
But like Silvergun's win rate's really high. You know, Joe probably thinks about Star Wars more than most. Chris Kelly makes the cards. Let's see.
You got Werfs.
Werfs is like the prototypical guy who's like just plays a lot and like plays the same deck. The decks aren't mainstream, so like that could be an interesting. Like if you were playing against Werfs, you have to doubt like, is this the time that he switches? It's kind of like rock paper scissors when like someone goes like paper 4 times in a row, and you're like, is this the time?
Does he go mainstream or does he play his kind of Rogue Ryan stuff?
Right, like if you're playing against his Rops mains, you're like, oh, I'll play like OA or MC, something that goes like super wide. Diplo is probably good against that, right? But like all of a sudden he switches to something else.
Right.
It's kind of different.
Yeah, I mean, Greg Shaw.
Bastion's like definitely. I mean, it's like he's like the favorite. It's pretty clear, and then there's a lot of good players.
Yeah.
Charlie.
So I mean, we know that you like Bastion at this point. Who do you like on the other side?
To be honest, I haven't followed it too much.
So the other side is Justin Branch, Silverglen versus Joe Olson, and then it's Greg and Gavin. So who would you expect out of that four?
Greg's up a game. I think Greg's going to advance. I think Joe and Silverglen's they have like their own format too, so that's like a toss up.
Right.
Although Joe's a little more varied, so maybe that probably gives him a little bit of the advantage. And who's the other game? Charlie and who?
Charlie versus Bastion, and then
Bastion wins that. What's the other one?
and then
Then
we got
it's
Chris
the
Kelly
Chris Kelly,
versus.
Chris Werfs.
Chris Kelly and Chris Webs. To be honest, that one's even.
Yeah, that one
That one's
is a
like
pretty good
really,
one.
that
I
one's
mean,
really
Chris
solid.
Kelly does have, like the NPC championship, and you know, Werfs
But
I
I
feel
mean,
like is a
Worf's is
consistent
pretty
top
good
eight
too.
guy, but I feel like he hasn't like ever punched one all the way through quite yet.
Yeah, winning a tournament's hard.
I'll take your word for it. It's hard enough for me to go 5-3, so.
Joe says, all right, hold on. The easy way to play test it is code it on Jump, hold a tournament that's meaningful online, and then adjust based on the results.
So sort of like playtesting, open playtesting, like we had way back in VSET
Yeah,
2
I mean, I don't
or
get to
4, or
control
whatever it
those
was.
decisions, so I can't
Uh,
comment on that. All I know is
I
that
know the GEMP coding
playtesting
is more
data is
difficult than people
hard to
probably think
find.
it is. But because we have
yeah, and
tried to do playtesting on GEMP before. I'm on the playtesting team, and like it was useful when they had it going, but that was I think still when Troy was involved
I
with.
like I like Joe's suggestion of coding it for the Outrider Cup, and then that's cool. I don't know if that can be done, but that's cool. Like coding the ideas, because then you see. I mean, one of the things, not to be critical, but like one of the things with playtesting data is like player skill sometimes,
Hmm.
uh,
mhm.
and people do a great job playtesting. So I shouldn't, I'm not trying to say that at all.
Right.
If someone's like, "Oh yeah, Rops is unplayable now," and then you release it, and it's like you kind of miss the analysis or whatever because you didn't have quite the level of skill that needed.
Right.
Mhm.
But the Outrider Cup ideally would, well, presumably has some of the top players and does.
Yeah.
So if you were to give people the new cards, that's cool. That's a cool way
That
to
would
do
be
it. And
an
it's kind of
interesting
rotating,
idea.
but no one's traveling to like play in a bad meta.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure how feasible that is, but that's definitely.
Fred's not involved, so it won't like ruin his bacon making cat stuff.
Oh, good stuff.
Love
Good
you,
stuff.
Brian. That was just like that was lighthearted.
That
Brian.
was good. No, I like that. So we kind of talked about the Outrider Cup. That was something I kind of mentioned. So
Yeah.
sixth man discussion. Hayes, Baroni. What
Yeah,
about
not
Johnny
true.
Chu? Is he
Drew's taking
around?
some
Is he
time off.
playing?
Yeah.
Chu was like the obvious first
Of
like thought,
course.
and then I reached out, and I think he just needs a little time away from it. No one ever quits, so
Right. We just sort of go on a
first
little
of
bit of a
all, like
hiatus.
the goat's not gonna quit, so like he'll be back at some point. And like I don't know if they've announced Worlds next year, but like I imagine it's
No.
not in Oldham,
No, it'll be I'm
Um.
sure East Coast
East
Worlds.
Coast. So like if it
I
works
think.
for him, I'm
I
guessing
think.
Oldham he goes. Be nice to team with him again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Johnny, just seeing Johnny and you guys at any tournament is always good. And I mean, just getting anybody who is a top class player at any event is really good.
Yeah, it
I
would
mean,
be kind
hell,
of cool to
hell,
see him come back for the Outrider Cup for some Gemp stuff, but
yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes people
Just
need the break. Like you can't like if you dabble when you're like taking the break, it stretches out your interest, and then you're like, you know what, I shouldn't have come back. That's just stupid.
that's a good call.
I think
Just
one of
sort
the
of
NPC,
clean break for a good amount of time, and then when you feel
yeah,
the itch, come
I
back.
took multiple breaks. I took like the original 4 year break, and then um like I didn't play between the two worlds that I won. It was in Toronto, and I was like, yeah, it's just that's far.
Yeah.
I didn't like pay attention
yeah.
to that.
And also
So
that meta was towards the end of the Legacy
I
era,
remember, yeah.
and even by then, that's pretty much when I took my longest break since I've returned to the game. Was near the end of the Legacy era, where I just got so fed up with all the crazy stuff, and
Yeah, it was just too
like
much.
it was
It
just
was
too
too
much, too much text
Come on.
all over the place, and it's just like okay. And then when I heard the reset was on, it's like okay, cool, I'm back in 100%, and I pretty much have been since. So
So Jerry, what you're saying is if we have another reset, you'll be even more involved in the game.
I mean, I personally, I would probably be okay with another reset right at this point. I mean,
Oh, okay. So anybody who's watching right now, that's another person for the reset.
I mean,
And I think there's
I
at least a one
understand.
or two.
I understand. With Chris Kelly, we had him on last week. Or 2 weeks ago. I understand. It's a lot of work, and we've had all these cards and to tear it all down. But as long as we get some sort of a shakeup, because the meta, like sort of what Justin was saying, I think is evolving faster than it ever has in like the PC era.
Yeah.
With GEMP, there's just so many more games being played. Game plans are being figured out a lot faster.
Mhm.
I just feel like maybe we need things to move a little bit quicker. Even if we get smaller sets, like we usually like. I feel like it's 2 sets a year. Maybe if we had like 3 sets that were a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
like less cards. Like sometimes cards come out, and I know that they have like the people who like donate and stuff. But you look at a card and you
There's
kind
a
of feel
lot
like,
of bad virtual cards, honestly. Like there really is, and we could, if Chris Kelly kind of mentioned taking some of those ones and improving them, so that
yeah,
sounds cool.
Mhm.
And so it's basically like releasing new cards if you've strengthened them to the point where they actually get sleeved into decks, at this point. So,
it'd
you
be
know,
interesting to
Yeah.
have like a blank slate card, like a card that just rotated its text every like
that would be that's
2 years.
that's
It
that's
would be
kind of an
like a wild
interesting
card,
idea.
kind of like a Scrabble
Yeah.
tile that doesn't have it. Like a good card for that would be like an interrupt or like what's a like it wouldn't really be characters, but like some of the red cards, like Endor Shield's a good example of like something that could just change every 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or like the
And
leadership command interrupts. If they've like virtualized those, or
Yeah,
since they're
yeah,
kind of
the old ones.
mirrors of each other.
yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
I think I was going to say I think one thing that we need to possibly do is catch up to the movies because I mean as designers, so I think we're still lagging a lot behind. We haven't seen a lot of episode 8. We haven't had anything solo. We've had very little Rogue One. We've had a lot from episode 7, but there's still a decent amount missing. I mean, we've only have one Ray or two Rays. We have one Finn, one Poe.
Right.
I think there's
Yeah, I think like if there was a reset, you'd want to wait. Like, I mean, Disney at some point is going to be like episode 10 coming out because it's like money.
yeah.
But like, it does seem like for the foreseeable future, this is going to be the end. And it would be interesting if like the next reset was organized differently. So you had like Empire Strikes Back virtual cards, and then you had so you had 9 sets, and you just would
and
add
it's like
things
a
to
like
those
a
sets.
planned like cycle
Yeah.
almost.
Well,
Yeah,
I
you
want
couldn't
to. I
cycle
want
out
to
that way.
say
I mean, you could literally have a. I guess you'd never want to probably cycle out the original trilogy.
You could have a base set,
Well,
like
you have a
like
base
like
honestly,
set.
like I mean, what's to say that we don't? I mean, what's to stop us from saying, okay, these cards from the Cipher era, okay, are legacy or kind of like what Magic does. They have a standard, but then they have multiple formats. What's to say is from us doing that as well?
Well, just no one plays multiple formats, but I think you're right, Dan. Like there's a lot of like episode 1 stuff that's we just have like there's just random like we have a
Yeah,
lot of WAP cards. You know what I mean? And obviously WAP was like a cool deck, but like we have multiple virtual handmaidens. You know what I mean? And we
yeah,
yeah,
don't have like the guards yet from like, those badass guards from
yeah.
episode
episode 8
eight,
or
the
like
the like royal
and I
guards or
think some of
whatever.
it's like
Hmm.
having to like leave some of the legacy ideas behind and adapt them to new concepts. Like for example, Walker's objectives gone. So if we're going to do that, it should probably be like the salty Walkers.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I don't think we should
and
go back to Hoth. Like,
yeah, and like you
um,
like, I mean, we have the speeder from those.
you're
I mean,
right.
it's not the best card, but I mean,
But
why not
that
make
could
a
be a card you could make better. You could errata backwards to make better, and then you can make an MT6, whatever they're called, and make like, and maybe you like errata Veers to not be as good, and then you make like another Hux that's the same text as Veers, um, and maybe that like has a marginal effect on ROPS, like just
Okay.
those type of things.
Yeah, that's
Um,
interesting. That's some definitely sort of out of the box sort of ideas that I hadn't really considered. So I
eh,
like that.
so why don't we have an episode 8 Jedi testing?
I
I
think it's just
mean,
like it's like
I
the
mean,
time.
what
I
is?
think it's like the game versus like the time frame.
Mhm.
And one thing to kind of give the PC like a break on is like Decipher never did this either. Like, um, Feed came out in like what?
A one.
Oh one or
Oh, that
late
2000. It was like 2000.
late 2000.
Yeah,
when did Tatooine come out?
99.
When the movie came out?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just after I think.
Well, then, I was staying corrected. But I think like it does take some time, and especially like when there's like hidden answers, like hidden questions, like who Ray really is and stuff like that. Like some of it you have to let it flesh out. I guess Decipher didn't care. They had like Palpatine,
Yeah.
Senator Palpatine, and Darth Sidious, so they didn't care. But they're also like money grabbing at the end.
Okay, so
Eh,
Joe Olson says
well, I mean,
Tatooine was June 2001,
no.
When the
and
But I
film
mean,
ended, wow.
yeah. The nice thing is, from
Death
what
Star
Disney
2
has
wasn't until
said,
okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say the nice thing is, well,
Yeah,
Disney's actually
Tatooine
said
was
that they're taking a
2000.
little break. I mean, we're getting episode 9 this year, but I mean, next year they're not going to have a Star Wars movie. So, I mean, that gives us a little bit of time to catch up to where they're at now. And hell, even the next movie that they're doing is going to be, I want to say, either Old Republic or something else.
Yeah.
So they're finishing up
They're
1 through
finishing up like
9.
the Skywalker saga. So like whatever change, like we could either catch up or with the next reset we could like kind of say, all right, let's do a little bit less with like the prequels and a little bit more with the cool stuff from the next three movies. But I think they've done a good job. Like
Yeah.
Phasma was awesome. Like Phasma sees a ton of play.
Right. But just in
Like
only
OA.
one deck, though. I mean, I guess there have been a few other first order decks, mainly Dark
I
Deal.
was going to say there was a Dark Deal deck, and I want to say the Pittsburgh guys played Rop's First Order at the NPC this last year.
Okay, that's true. So yeah,
And
I
it
stand
was
corrected.
it was fun. It was fun, but I mean, it wasn't the best deck, but it was fun. And I want to say Reed went pretty far with it. I mean, he made the top. He lost to Goglin, so he made top 8.
But I think like if you actually were to say like who are the two best characters for light side,
Mm-hmm.
it's Jedi Luke and Rey. So like that's cool. That like the two best light side cards are like the two main characters.
Right. That makes sense.
Um, I mean you could argue it's like another guy, but like Rey's a better card right now than like EPP Qui Gon, like by a wide margin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's cool.
Anakin's up there as long as you're not playing Hicko.
Yeah, Anakin's up there, but he's not as good as Rey. Like Rey. I think. I mean, Rey might even be better than Jedi Luke. Rey's like really, really good. So like,
Yeah.
I think they've done a good job with like some of the newer cards. But then like, yeah, it is kind of we focused. But people on D&D have like have a maximum amount of like time they can focus on something.
Right.
So like, and even think about like the excitement of stuff. Like people were so hyped after Rogue One came out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
guess what we have? We have a ton of Rogue One cards. And then like the Last Jedi didn't exactly get everyone going. Some people really liked it, but it did like I mean it's like financially speaking, people and like even Disney like they stopped some of their like designs on moving so fast because it wasn't as popular as like a fanboy thing. So like it kind of makes sense that people weren't like jumping into being like let's make Last Jedi cards. But like that Luke is pretty cool. The like the legend stuff's cool.
Yeah. The dark or the light side deck is pretty neat and has still hasn't really been fleshed out completely. I'd say because it really has only been
Yeah.
out for a little bit, but it seems like a lot of fun. And I do like the Jedi Master Luke and some of that stuff, but a lot of that does lean on how good Rey is and like how good Poe
Mm.
is and how good some of the
Right.
other
Eric with the comment.
Yeah.
Rey is
Brave
two
Resistance.
every guy. Yes, that is true. That is the most obvious statement. Yes.
Hey Jerry, I know we're talking about Star Wars really quick, but did you hear that the Pens won 3-2?
I have heard, but it was overtime, so we got a point. So hey, it's on the road. We'll take it. We'll see you in
I know.
January for the
October
rematch.
hockey.
Okay, let's go back to Star Wars, and so we can wrap it up here soon.
All right.
So,
So
but
go ahead. All
I
right.
was going to say let's go back to Star
The
Wars.
other sort of big event we have going on. It's a smaller event. It's the Jawa Cup. If you, Justin, were playing in the Jawa Cup, what would you play? What would you expect to see? So
What is it?
the banned list for the Jawa Cup is sort of like the Outrider Cup, or it's like a tournament
Yeah,
where
no, I
they're
saw the premise. I
yeah
didn't know it was a format change.
they're banning OA, TRM, Legend, Diplo, and No Idea for light side, and they're banning Map, Agents, Rops, and Court for dark side. So without those decks, what do you think would be good? What would you maybe consider playing?
Well,
Also,
like
I'm
my
playing, so whatever you say, I'll just have to play.
Can you say it one more time?
So
So
OA,
okay,
TRM,
Yep.
Legend, Diplo, No Idea,
Yep.
and then Map, Agents, Rops, Court. Can't play
uh,
any of those.
Jerry, don't forget that I think that they're banning Like My Father Before Me as well.
Just as a card.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then initially Invasion was on that list, but they cut it because they felt that it was not necessary to ban Invasion.
I'd probably play Y40.
Is that Yavin 4
Maybe.
operations?
Yeah, and then I'd probably play Hunt Down.
Hunt down in Yavin 4?
Yeah.
Those are two of my favorite decks. So like that, I'll probably just play those. Since you said it, they must be good, right?
But that's like kind of the thing, like what we're doing with like any changes too, right? Because it's like
Mm-hmm.
what you do have to analyze like what comes up,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, like what's good, and I think that's the trouble, and that's what D&D has to analyze, and everyone has their opinions too. I going back to that point, and that's the big thing is like everyone thinks they're right, and I think a consciousness of like, all right, it didn't exactly hit my opinion, but kind of seeing like, all right, I see what they were trying to do there, um, because you might not be right, no matter how smart you are,
Mm-hmm.
and you also could be right, but that is sort of irrelevant
Right.
because you have to take other people's opinions into account.
I was going to say,
And,
what about
and
TT?
mistakes will be made.
And really, the
But
only
you
way to
put all those
know if you're
together.
right or wrong is to play a bunch of games, see a bunch of different matchups, and get a bunch of hard data as opposed to sort of just, well, if we
Mhm.
do this, then this will be. You can't just theory craft it to actually make it true. You have
Right.
to.
And I think the PC, like, I'm not involved in this part at all, but like, I think they do a pretty good job of like, at least now, like if there's something was messed up, like say the changes were made and like someone pointed out like, whoa, you can still do this with map, or you can still do this with ROPS, and it's not going to affect anything, or ROPS is still going to be dominant, or XYZ. I think that would be heard. We probably got heard a little bit too much with like the QMC thing that people
Yeah.
were worried about.
Agreed.
Um,
Like
although I'm not sure that.
they changed stunning move. Like someone posted before it came out. Like this
Right.
is kind of weird, or as it came out, like
Like,
this doesn't
yeah,
work.
like the ratio
The
was like
ratio,
really,
right?
really
Yeah,
weird.
and so they fixed it. Yeah, exactly. We are a lot more
Um,
proactive about making sure that those
yeah, like if you can put a well
necessaries.
thought out argument out there and be like, and then have some other people echo it, like not an echo chamber, but like, oh yeah, I agree with that, or I agree with that, and this is why,
Right.
and you lay it out, and then you kind of ease back after you lay your points out, and you're like, this is what I'm gonna, and kind of going back to what I said, like, all right, they might hear me. I got my opinion out. I hope they do, but if they
Yeah.
didn't, like, have your peace with it. Like
Right.
that's how my approach for D&D is like if I make a post there, I'm just like, here's what I think, and then some people are like, yeah, that's stupid, or this doesn't work. I'm like, okay, cool. Like I may have a rebuttal, or explain, or like further explain it, but you can't like ram things down. I think that's where people have gotten in trouble before,
Totally.
is like really like
Yeah.
ramming things down. I don't think it's agendas, but I think it's just like sticking to something you think is right, like so much that you get like blinders,
It's like ride or
and
die.
then
Yeah.
you like might mess up or you might not, but then it becomes like just warped, you know.
Mm.
Um, that sort of stuff I've seen, but it seems the process seems really cool. Going back to it,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to play in the Jawa Cup. I don't play. I want to keep. I want to try to play more games, and so that I feel like that was kind of a fun format to take away the decks that have been kind of annoying me, especially on the light side, with like TRM stuff and old allies. Getting to play some dark side games without having to worry
yes,
about
Eric,
those
I
two
know you're right.
matchups.
Eric, I know you're right. It's just a very obvious statement, but I appreciate the echoing.
Eric, don't share the with Jerry. I'm playing too, so I need decks. I'm thinking about playing TTO. TTO's fun.
I am gonna. I
No,
think
CTO.
Dan and I were discussing. We're both in the Jawa Cup, so we're gonna try to stream each other's games in the
How does
Jawa
that work?
Cup.
Is it like a top 16 or something?
I don't
It's
know. I signed up, but I don't know
top.
the. Go ahead.
Oh, it's like an open. You just like play, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's
yeah.
just
It's
more
Okay.
pretty
like
much
an open.
it's an open, and then there's seedings, and I just want practice. I haven't played it in forever.
I just am like I said, I'm excited to play some dark side decks without having to worry about TRM or old allies. Like that'll be pretty cool. So
So, you want to wrap this up? I mean,
yeah, I have one more sort of
okay.
thing for Justin. It's kind of like my wrap up discussion. Obviously, Justin is a longtime member of the KTOD. I kind of wanted to go back with you. Like, what was like your favorite KTOD memory from a tournament in the past? If you had to
Um,
pick one, or just share a really awesome. Doesn't have to be your favorite. Just give us something good to go out on.
the favorite would be. There's probably two that and I'll be quick
Yeah,
because I
go
know.
ahead. Share them both. That's fine.
2002 was like when we started kind of getting good. Like we were winning regionals, um, and stuff like that. I couldn't play cards when I was in high school because I played so much sports,
Hmm.
so I didn't have time. And then when I got to college, that's when I started playing like more frequently. and it took a little bit of time to kind of figure things out. But 2002, we like that's like when we figured out the Senate deck,
Okay.
and like I had a regional and like won it or whatever, or came in second. Like it was top two, so it didn't matter. Mike had one in Jersey and like came in top two at that, and then we decided to drive to nationals, which was Origins,
Okay.
and we both drove. And I think it might actually be like the biggest PC tournament ever. It was like 95 people.
Wow.
Um,
That's crazy.
and yeah, and like we had the Senate deck, which was great, and we were also like 20 years old. You know what I mean? So it was
Right.
like we're 21 years old. So it was like a 15-hour drive, and we like built a fire extinguisher combat in like a stairwell at like 2 in the morning, or like that's what we did back then.
Yeah.
And like this trick's great. I had it in my mind like as we were driving out there, and Mike won the tournament. I came in second, so that was like really cool. And that's like when Deck was still around, so like we both wrote
Yeah.
PRs, and like there were like good players there. Hayes was there. There were some other good players. So that was really really cool. The other one would be the first Johnny Chu, um, the first Johnny Chu like entry into the KTOD, which was Worlds 2003,
Okay.
where he won.
Okay.
And we teamed, me and Mike teamed with him and Clint, and we like kind of got to know each other that summer. It was like awesome. Like Clint came up to Boston, we like played basketball. We just like got to like, especially someone like Clint, he was kind of polarizing. So to find out he was like really cool was really neat, and like getting to know Chu was cool. And we like play tested all summer, and we ended up playing like, and it was a stacked field. Like
Right.
Bastion was there, Hayes was there. There was like a lot of really good people, and that was the year that I felt like I was playing really well. And we all day three'd, and we played 8 different decks, which was like really cool. Like we
Wow.
didn't have like a team deck, and like Clint's deck was like there was this big speeder deck, and like Clint had like speeder bikes with high speed tactics in his like Hoth
Love that
deck.
card.
And,
Love
like,
that card.
Johnny and I played like 3 times in the tournament. I ended up losing to Clint because he had back to tank Chancellor Valorum and Senator Palpatine in his throne room deck. But and you had to do those things back then.
Yeah,
but like
it's
those
crazy.
two stand out as like kind of like signature moments for like the team. Like I have like the individual stuff,
Of course.
but like the team stuff, like us sort of versus like forming like real friendships. Those were like 2 that stand out. They're also like so old school now. Like they're like sort of like childhood memories now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are like 2 formative ones. But there's been a ton. There's been so many good ones.
Definitely. And so with that, like, what are your guys's? Do you guys have plans, for competing, next year in, like, so we have Endor, NPC, Worlds, presumably somewhere East Coast. Like, what do you
I
guys?
mean, Endor's like unreal. I pretty much told everybody that I only play once a year now. Like
Right.
I went to the NPC like 2 years ago, and the year before that, and I don't love that format.
The NPC.
Yeah, I just match play format's kind of odd to me. But the hotels, like the venue's awesome.
Yeah,
It's
that's
close.
always a fun event. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand match play is a lot different from Swiss, and all that stuff, but it is still that event is usually just a hell of a good time because we're all just in that game room hanging out the whole time, and there's some good Star Wars going on. So
Right, right. And I think like, but like Worlds. I mean, we flew to Germany. Steve had points; it was free for me. But like, it would be hard to like not go. If it's like a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
so we can at least
But
expect to see you guys
maybe
at like an
see
East
what
Coast
happens.
Worlds.
But like life is real life is there too. Like
course.
families and
True.
stuff. It was in Boston. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean I don't
We had
know.
it there. Really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean I would love to go out there. I have some family who lives up in that part of the East Coast, so it'd be cool to get out
Oh, I
there.
proposed this is for the masses to listen to. This will be cool. I proposed in tournament committee that because the CypherCon 2000 was like such a formative event for anyone who went. Like everyone who went remembers it as like sort of
Holy
this
Grail
moment
kind
in
of thing.
time. Yeah, like a holy grail, and like people talk about like what happened.
Okay.
Obviously, Matt won and stuff, but because this is the 20th anniversary, that the PC for this year's Worlds kind of goes like really all out.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure what that would entail.
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't think we should have it at the DoubleTree in Florida, but like that tournament's where like the Corvette and Imperial class Star Destroyers came from. So maybe there's
Okay.
like
Mhm.
cool like product that was the first tournament where you could get seal decks, like the boxes.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
no, that's not true. I lied. There was JPST that came out, but there was like product everywhere, and there was like Mara Jade actress was there like signing things and Aura
Okay.
Singh, and like there was just a ton of stuff.
Mhm.
And I wonder if we could like replicate that, especially given that so many Americans went to Europe and kind of put some of the pressure on a lot of those guys to come over now, and then also like
Yeah.
be like the CypherCon 20th anniversary. I don't know if we can do a multiplier on the prize pool. People don't play for money, but those type of things catch people's
Yeah.
attention. Like
Yeah.
double the prizes. I mean,
And
who
and
knows?
you said it. I mean, Europe just went insane with the swag and everything that they gave out. I mean, did they do like the beer wars cards and everything, and all the, like the lanyards?
Yeah, we
I
saw
don't
all
know what
sorts
else
of
they
cool
did.
swag from Worlds this year, so definitely would be cool to have
Yeah,
like a big anniversary
like
tournament. I like the idea of that for
and
sure.
like contacting like the Dutch guys do like a ton of like cool product, and if the PC could like contract those guys. I actually had an idea of like I wonder how much it would cost to do like an artist to like do like alt like Magic has like alternate art cards.
Hmm.
Okay.
You do like you could would it, how much would it cost to contract someone and get like 100 made of some card to do,
Yeah, like a AI that was
Um,
exclusive to that
like it,
event. Like
right, but if it was like imagine if it was custom, like it was literally like each one was custom.
oh wow,
uh,
I get what you're
That would I
saying.
mean like an
Almost.
well,
altar is not always like an altar's like 15-20 bucks sometimes. So like all right, it's a lot of money, but like
well,
you planned it, you fundraised it, and you had people look for donations and stuff.
what kind of altar are you talking about? Like,
Like the full art, like Magic ones, where they have
I mean,
like cards of someone.
like the new ones they're
Yeah,
doing.
exactly. Like,
Yeah,
well,
that's
that's
new.
like a wizard's card. The
Yeah.
ones where like, they draw over with like a pen and stuff.
Oh, like the actual artist on the card. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
I know
art,
what you're talking about.
Okay, neat.
or
That would
even
be.
like, or
Yeah,
even like,
I've got a few of those, but
like
honestly,
what if you sent 100 Darth Vaders to Warren Holland and said, "Hey, we're doing DecipherCon 20th anniversary. Can you sign these and send them back? Because we remember when you gave us the Corvettes and the Imperial classes, and those were so cool, and we want to have could be any
something.
card,
Yeah,
Premier Darth Vader, Black Border. We could get 100 of those
you know,
and have them sign
honestly,
those. Or
I
Yeah.
kind of like what they did with the Continentals with the puck cards. Did you see any of those?
yeah, I did. That was cool.
Yeah,
That was really cool.
I mean, something like that would be amazing.
Yeah, and you just keep
Here,
stacking it, right? You just keep stacking it, and you say like, it was funny. Like we did, I don't know people would want to do this, but that Worlds they took the top 12 out to dinner.
hmm
I don't think they would really want to do that because of the way the Worlds is structured now. But it's an interesting concept. Like just those type of. Oh, and here's the other thing that I think would be cool, and I'd have to contact Sokol, or we'd have to contact Sokol. But like the trophy is insane right now with like the obelisk. Everyone knows the obelisk
hmm
Right.
is sweet. Um, but what if we did the obelisk and we like went back and we did the plate for first place? Has anybody seen the plate?
Yeah.
I
Oh
don't think
yeah.
I
Do
have.
it.
Insane.
Do
It's
it.
a plate that looks like
It's
the
amazing.
Rebel Alliance symbol and it says World
Yeah.
Champion.
Oh
And
wow.
it's like what if we act like kind of just threw it back to that? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I like the
Yeah.
idea.
um,
These are all good ideas, and they're on TV,
Oh
and
yeah.
everybody can see them. So
right. That's kind of why I'm doing it. Put the
exactly.
pressure on.
All right, so yeah, we usually like to go just
Yeah.
about an hour here, so I think we'll try to
Sounds
wrap
good.
up. Dan, go ahead.
Look at the comments. Right.
I got nothing else. I mean,
Okay.
the comments. A few people have been posting about some of those.
Atlanta, DC.
Yeah.
Yeah, those seem good.
And I can guarantee you, Joe, nobody forgot about Chris Kelly for the OCS. You had mentioned that earlier. It's more along the lines of he has a mountain to go through where everybody on the other side doesn't.
I mean, he has to get through Worfs and get through Bastion. That's pretty tough for sure. So,
Well, I wasn't
um,
really thinking about worse, but sure, we'll go with that.
well, maybe you should.
You should
Maybe you
think about
should.
work. Work is
Worse,
good.
he's
Believe
really
me,
good.
I think about worse. I think about worse every time I'm at a tournament and I'm just like, hey, Worfs, let's play Avalon. And he just mind fucks the shit out of me.
Hey, PG-13, please. On Sorry
You're
CCG
allowed
Muller.
one. You're allowed one.
Okay, all right. Well, you
There's
used up
my
your
one.
one right at the
Oh,
end. All right, Justin, thank you very much for being with us tonight. It
Yeah,
was
thanks,
really fun
Justin.
having
Yeah,
you.
it's always a pleasure.
Thank you, everybody who was watching and who watches this on YouTube and all that. May the force be with you and all that
Fred,
good
I'm
stuff.
sorry about the Fred. I'm sorry about the bacon comments. I didn't mean that.